Please, Lagos, join us as welcome our analyst in the studio. We have Adenike Yetunde here at Denike on Twitter. Good morning.
Good morning. Happy birthday, Ayo. This is for small chops.
And we welcome Folu Ogunke at Folu Storms. Good morning.
Good morning. I've never heard you pronounce my
Honestly,
surname,
like government name.
But happy
Small
birthday,
chops.
Give us some more
Infused.
birthdays and call us small chops.
And last but not the least, Justin EJ at Justin EJ on Twitter.
And in continuation with the small chops request, this is a shout out to Ayo. Ayo for the win. Happy birthday.
I have to deliver. Thank you.
This
Shout
could
out to
as
small chops.
as well be.
Good morning, Lagos.
Good morning. Could as well be a feel good Tuesday.
Yeah.
But we have stories to go through. We have 9 stories in total in the next 30 minutes or 29 minutes. Please send your messages through WhatsApp 0809 444 981 and on Twitter.
On Twitter, it's at Smooth981FM. Kindly use the hashtag freshlypressed981. On YouTube, we're streaming live. Please go to YouTube, Smooth98.1. Right, we go on to our first story here. Adenike, I'll come to you for this. Government to limit estimated electricity bills, February. Punch newspaper. Now, yesterday we had I want to use I'm trying to avoid using the word robust conversation around the regulation of electricity tariffs and the fact that some people had claimed that over the weekend they'd seen an increase in tariffs. Then we talked about meters, estimated billing and metering for our homes. I would say it was a unanimous decision or a unanimous agreement that people wanted to have meters in their homes so that they would be correctly billed. Can you please take us through this story?
Okay, so this story is as reported by the Punch newspaper, and this, it goes that according to the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission, the federal government's power sector regulator, that discos that fail to provide meters to customers would only be allowed to issue a capped sum as estimated bills to the respective power users. Now, the chairman made this known yesterday and said that the regulation will be released very soon, and so unmetered customers would only pay what the commission compelled discos to collect as estimated bills. He said, and I'm quoting him, in the regulation, we will put a maximum amount which the discos can charge a customer that it had not been able to provide meter for. In fact, it will be to their advantage to provide the meters.
Yeah.
He also noted that capping regulation will make customers seek for meters, adding that it will also make power distributors provide the facility. And this, corroborates what you were saying about how people feel like the hike in the tariff system is so unfair.
Yes.
And with the prepaid meters, you can actually monitor, control, and understand your consumption rate. But now NERC is saying that they want to have a capped sum for people who have not been metered. Unfortunately, right now, we do not know what the criterion will be, whichever one it is, however
how much
they will have.
Be,
exactly. And as you know, with consumption, is usually, say for instance, size of apartment. If you live in an estate where everybody pays to a pool, they always tell you, so what do you use? How many refrigerators do you have? How many air conditioners do you have? Do you have electric burner? Yada, yada, yada. How many rooms are in your apartment? So if you have a 1-room apartment and a 3-bedroom apartment, you are not expected to have the same consumption. So I'm hoping that when the regulation is fully released, it will be detailed so that we would understand what will be used in capping the sum that unmetered customers will be charged. But in the absence of that, it's just us continuing to complain. Now, they say the max, and I want to quote him, he said the maximum we are going to allow discos to charge will not be to the advantage of power distributors in the long run. And fingers crossed to see how that
Could that be the reason why it seems like they're going on a mass metering campaign? Because yesterday I got my meter.
Oh, really?
What?
I
We
did.
need to
Thank you.
celebrate. That's
Double celebration.
Yes.
Small chops times 2.
I'm so excited.
That's amazing. I was going to say that
Yeah.
with this, if they put a cap on it, it would force the hands of the companies to provide meters. Because
Let
remember
us
people said-
hope again that whatever the cap is, like I mentioned, in terms of size of property and consumption rate, it favors the customer or consumer, because where it doesn't, you will feel so cheated.
Yeah.
So
It
where,
will defeat the purpose if they
exactly.
didn't.
So now that they're saying that it's just going to be to the advantage of the consumer and to the disadvantage of the schools. That way, they're encouraged to provide more. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Benga Komu here says on WhatsApp, how does NERC intend to determine the capped amount consumers without meters will pay? And what if consumers do not have power? That's another issue. And Delewad says on this, okay,
We're getting
that's a
to that
security issue
story
that we'll get to
soon.
later.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to the next one quickly. Justin, this is for you. 2023 presidency replies Bakary says Buhari won't handpick successor. Premium Times. The story broke over the weekend that the former vice presidential candidate, along with President Buhari, Pastor Tunde Bakary, in his sermon, had spoken about the fact that when you look at countries, comparing Nigeria with other countries that have succeeded in democracy, the presidents usually have a succession plan, so they know who, they have a tool to succeed them and they start to groom them. However, Mr. Femi Adesina in an interview has come back to say that, well, the president is not going to be handing a successor, but has an exit plan. Please take us through the story.
Say this respectfully. The dear pastor needs to pick a struggle.
Okay.
Right? His dalliances in politics is beginning to confuse me, at least, about what exactly his should I say faulty or calling is. If the mixture of state and religion has never been a good idea. I mean, it's always been, it's one of the sources of a lot of tragic occurrences in the world. Coming to the story directly, Pastor Bakary is suggesting that Mr. President should pick a successor. Pastor, might I remind you that we already have protocols for that. They are called elections.
Okay.
There's universal adult suffrage. People who are of age are allowed to vote and be voted for to put themselves up for elections.
Yes.
So there's already a protocol for that. The reason I'm going this route with this issue is the popular narrative influences culture and vice versa. One of the things we need to correct, one of the core problems we have in the country is the abuse of our electoral processes and our electoral systems. When you begin to say things like this, I know it's an appeal to what the grown norm is. Oh, that's the way we are. We know that the leader in power will always influence who gets to come in after him.
He wasn't just talking about us, CC. I mean, he mentioned countries like China, Singapore, even South Africa.
Name those countries again. China, Singapore, South Africa. In the example he gave in South Africa is actually not quite apt. So he talked about Mandela and Cyril Ramaphosa and co. Excuse me, Madiba did not pick those people. They were his contemporaries, right? He didn't handpick anyone. He got to be president because of the price he had paid, right? On Rikers Island. In jail. So when it was time for him to go, naturally there was competition between the people who were his contemporaries. Now bringing it back to Nigeria, the classics, i.e. the generation that directly inherited independence, still holds sway in Nigerian political affairs today. Pastor Bakary is one of them. President Buhari is one of them. All of you need to retire and go away. By the fluxion of time, it will happen. People naturally will age, some will pass, and all of that. But those who choose to sit tight, trust me, the tide is rising. The bulk of Nigerian young people who you are making very bad decisions on behalf of are tired. So we have electoral processes that will determine who succeeds. Let's focus on that and stop talking about he should pick success.
Well, Femi Adesina agrees with you. The presidency's statement and body language states that they're not going to be involved in picking the next or picking a successor. So let's watch and see.
Benga says there's no way the president will not be interested in who succeeds him. How does he protect his legacy? Though there is nothing that says the candidates of the presidents must win the elections, that should be left to the people. Elections should be free and fair. And Dami says once the capped fee favors consumers, consumers may sabotage the process of metering. Have they considered this? And that's talking about the power issue.
Val, someone asked you if you paid for your meter, did you?
I paid for the installation.
Okay, not the meter itself. All right, thank you. Let's move on to our next story. And Fola, I'll come to you. Fola, I'll come to you for this one. Orders closure of gas retail shops in residential areas. I'd like to add to this. petrol stations. I know that the reason for this decision, of course, is following the Kaduna gas explosion, and following his visit, he made this statement. But let's look at having gas retail stations and filling stations in residential areas in Nigeria. Please take us through the story.
Well, as usual, Governor Nasir El-Rufai is sort of pushing the envelope, and it really shouldn't be pushing the envelope to say that for safety reasons, gas retail and petrol stations shouldn't be residential areas completely makes sense. The disaster that happened on Saturday in the Sabon Tasha area of Kaduna was incredibly sad, very, very tragic. And it was avoidable to a certain extent, at least the number of lives that were lost in the process. So essentially what the story, which is from the Guardian newspaper, is telling us that after he visited, he says that they'll relocate them. He's asking people as well, the residents, to actually report any gas outlets that they find in these areas. Now, because we are a nation that we are used to sort of continuing in a very specific line. If something's already happening, oh, but this is how it is. Why should we close it down? Why should we shut it down? You're going to naturally have grumblings. You're going to have people who say, it's not all the time it happens now. It's you. Why you are affecting people's businesses? But the reality is, we need to get rid of this anyhow culture, or anyhow we want to do. I'm just don't. It's not appropriate. It's not safe for people in general. And I do think it's a very good move. I would really like to see a number of other state governors not just say that they're going to do this, but actually follow through and ensure that this is enforced, because that's another issue we have. Yes. There are regulations about this that actually exist. In residential areas, there is no space in the zoning laws for you to have petrol stations.
Exactly.
Yet, especially in Lagos, we see it all the time. And I cannot forget in phase one, when one of the petrol stations caught fire, and it was the scariest experience for so many people to see that. And it's so close to so many homes.
Yes,
it's so close to a hospital. Yes. And I really think this should be addressed.
So I live in an area where there's only one way to come out. There's only one road outlet, and we have a filling station in that area. When I saw them building the filling station, I was petrified. If anything happened, forget the traffic that would come if we had a fuel scarcity, if we had fuel scarcity. But if anything happened there, the people who live after the filling station are trapped.
It's a bottleneck instantly.
So you wonder who gave the person permit to build.
Absolutely. And again, just to say again, condolences to the family of Professor Simon Malam, who was the chairman of the Nigeria Atomic Energy Commission. He died in that incident. I believe along with at least one or two of his children as well. Very, very sad stuff. Very sad.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just want to weigh in on it, and I do send out condolences to the families affected. I just like to elevate the expectations a little more. We kind of always do knee-jerk, right? We can say what Governor El-Rufai is doing is pushing the envelope, but it's still reactionary.
Absolutely.
There are countries in the world where gas is piped into your home. So if we're talking about gas being sold in the neighborhood being dangerous, now how dangerous is gas being piped in your home? But guess what? There are controls, there are systems, procedures for managing risk. Life is risky, right?
Yeah.
It's all about risk and control. The issue here is we do not have a risk identification or management orientation at all. It's always reactionary. Something happens, somebody jumps, okay, ban it, ban that, stop this, stop that. Even when you do that, if the basic problem of how we approach issues is not fixed, right? We have tankers blowing up on the road.
Absolutely.
How many times has it happened in Ikeja?
Thank you so much, Justin. Thanks, Fulu. Let's move on to our next story. We have still in the north, as banditry resurfaces, Katsina government insists peace accord on course. This day in newspaper. Adenike, I remember when the meeting or when they came together to discuss this peace accord, we talked about it here on Freshly Pressed and how it was going to help with banditry and security situation in the north. Please take us through the story.
Okay, so very quickly, my question, as it concerns the last story, my question to everyone who's listening and has a cooking gas inside their kitchen is, do you value your own life? If you do not,
Do you have an active fire extinguisher?
Thank you.
so this story is very interesting, like you mentioned. Why it's interesting is because there's a peace deal between the state government and bandits. There was a peace deal. And somehow the bandits did not relinquish their weapons, AK-47. And Now they're saying that because either part has not kept to their own divide of the arrangement, you have not provided us with amenities, we have not done that. A lot of these bandits are back into terrorizing the occupants of the villages, so much so that 2 days ago a group of about 60 to 70 of them unleashed mayhem on these villagers, kidnapping some them to, according to the police personnel in that area, they say about under 10 people were still kidnapped by these bandits. And you begin to ask yourself, why did we exactly get into a peace deal with these bandits? Was it to garner intelligence information? What has that brought to the state government in terms of intelligence gathering and in terms of curtailing whatever has happened? If they have not had a process of measuring the process, as with almost everything that we do, we just do it. We never have processes to measure the progress or regression of whatever policies we set in place. We just put them on the pages of newspapers, so everybody says that we're working. If that has not happened, so it means that this peace deal is what is nonsense, capital nonsense. Now the bandits are claiming that so far they have released 105 captives in their custody, while the government in turn has freed more than 50 bandits detained by security operatives in Katsina, in Kano, and Kaduna State. And I'm wondering, how does this make sense? Now, the special advisor to the state governor on security matters in Katsina State insisted that the peace deal had not collapsed. And I'm quoting, because security issues are about networking and a gradual process.
All right. Now, sorry, just very quickly, because you call this, I mean, in your words, it's nonsense, this peace accord. But, I mean,
maybe not holistically,
yes,
but because of how it's been done.
Yes. So the question here is that on one part, someone who's claimed anonymity, a lawyer, said that how can you even offer amnesty to bandits?
How?
And the second part is that there was an agreement that the state government will provide social amenities.
Yes.
We have touched on a number of times on this show, on Freshly Pressed, the reasons why certain people go into crime. Crime is never justified, but one of the reasons why we see a rise in crime, and one of such is that people don't have jobs, they don't have access to social amenities, so they feel like they need to do, resort to crime. Do you think that it's because the government didn't also play their part in terms of the provision of social amenities?
With the gas story, Justin was saying that we don't, even the government doesn't understand, we don't have measures to understand what our risks are, what the consequences. I don't think the government has sat down to understand what will befall the occupants of these places if and when they fail to stick to their own end of the bargain. If you
dare say that they understand that, they just don't care.
Okay, that's more like it. They actually do not care about it. And the reality about it is there will always be a reason why certain things will always happen. There's a reason why the SUV just before me beat a traffic light, probably because someone was chasing him or Buhari was the one driving the car. There is always a reason. But the reality is when you are picked up by the authorities and you're charged to court, you will not be able to plead the fact that government did not provide you with education, with power, with good roads. You are a criminal, and your guilt is what is about to be established in court.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Mr. C from VIA on WhatsApp says, good morning, guys. The news from Katsina is just ridiculous. This is what happens when elected leaders refuse to think and prefer to go into the bush to meet urchins and miscreants. How can you have a peace deal with this sort of individuals, he asks. Thank you very much for your messages. Keep them coming to WhatsApp 0809 444 0981. Our next story, Justin, is from this newspaper. The Central Bank of Nigeria has unveiled a risk and information security framework or management framework. They say it's the policies aimed at promoting effective management of monetary policy and banking supervision to guide the management of risks associated with the payment system in Nigeria. Please expand this for us. I mean, we're seeing that the Central Bank essentially is a regulatory body for the banks, banking operations in the country. But your thoughts on this story and how it affects the common man?
So the background to this, so first of all, let me say that the Nigerian banking industry is actually one of the most regulated in the world. The CBN, starting from the time under CBN Governor, what's his name now? Soludo,
okay.
Became very, very proactive, very, very avant-garde. And in very short order, they actually put Nigerian banking regulations on the global map. Now, in 2007, a vision was cast, right? It was called Financial System Stability Vision 2020. Funny enough, we're now in 2020. And it was a roadmap for the development of the Nigerian banking system. And it gave rise to very rapid growth, both in volume. That's where you started seeing the consolidations, the new capital being infused into the industry and all of that. And what it has done over time is essentially create a very robust ecosystem for, and I was looking at me because she absolutely doesn't like the fact that she gets charged by the banks, right? I know that's what's going through your mind. And yes, full disclosure, I used to be a banker and I was in the payment sector at some point. So this is a very good development. It's coming on the back end of all that story I just told.
Yeah.
So what the CBN has done now is to say, all right, we are going to bring together all the different threads that affect specifically the digital payments now, all right? Not just digital payments, but mobile payments. So you're talking about clearing processes, instant payments, instant credit. So all the newfangled financial services you've been seeing people roll out, the CBN is now saying, all right, we've gone to a place where we need to establish clear frameworks and guidelines for you, just like every other part of the industry. So what risks are they addressing under this framework? Systemic risk, credit risk, liquidity risk, operational risk, compliance, legal and regulatory, settlement risk, and security. And then, you know, a lot of the new products that you're seeing in the financial industry are asking for a lot more of your data because a lot of it is mobile based,
Yes.
right? So the security of that information, that data is very key. So essentially the CBN has created a framework that pulls all this together and strengthens the system.
Well, I would really hope that the CBN, in line with this kind of moves, actually putting together a framework or a plan for a data management center of some sort, so that BVN and all that, you know, personal information can be collated.
So when it comes to biodata in Nigeria, that actually falls under NIMT. So whatever the banking industry was doing, as of the time, I was on the NIMC project then, as of the time, there was actually some friction between NIMC and the CBN over the BVN issue.
Yes.
Because from a legal, from constitutional point of view, based on the articles that establish the organizations, NIMC is empowered to oversee everything. So the CBN was supposed to take permission from NIMC, but CBN is very big. So there was.
You know the reason why I asked that question.
I know.
Point.
Yeah.
Big
But all those threads are coming together on the back end. I know enough to say that. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Next story for Lou is from the Guardian newspaper. Why $31 million daily oil windfall may not benefit Nigerians, as it seems we hit a new price, a new peak in 6 months for oil prices per barrel. But your thoughts on this? I see that Nigeria is going to be left out in the list of benefiting countries.
Okay, talking about this story, it's set against the backdrop of the recent airstrike that led to the death of Iranian top general and Guard commander Qasem Soleimani. Now, this sort of strike has resulted in a huge face-off between the United States and Iran. As a result, it's driven up global oil prices. So as of yesterday, the global benchmark for the product was about $71.34 US. Now, this means that for Nigeria, for example, we benefit by about $14 because, however, anyways, let's talk about. However, people are very concerned about this. Why will we not benefit if we're going to be making a little bit more money? Because this goes into the excess crude account. And the way the excess crude account is set up is that it's basically borrowing central for everybody. It's a share the money pot. It's a share the money account in Nigeria. And there's also the other issue that we've seen oil prices go up before. Yes, this is the highest in 6 months, but we've had $140 per barrel oil price. What did we do with it? In fact, according to the writers of this article, which I found very interesting, they said, what substantial thing has come out of that? What has the country done that's substantial? Now, there are a couple of experts that have spoken on this story, and I tend to agree with them. On the one hand, yes, we'll be making an extra, $31 million daily based on what's going on at the moment, but that's assuming that it doesn't even go up further, which it very well could.
And that's not taking into account subsidy spend.
Exactly.
Which is
because as prices go up, subsidy payments go up. So at the end of it, it's going to net off and we might just end up in negative.
And even at that, excess inflow is very hard to account
serious
for in this country, and outside of that as well. It's very sad for me to still see stories like this kind of making it into the headlines, because we're still here trying to determine what our future will be based on something we cannot control. It would be much more interesting, and there is an economist with FSDH, Ayodele Akinwumi, who actually says the government should just use this opportunity to strengthen its transparency and commitment to fiscal responsibility. Right now, there's a need to actually build buffers so that when the windfall is over, we can fall back on savings. But sadly, and the truth is, we're not a country that saves. We've seen it over and over again. And yes, this article does try to lay the blame entirely at the feet of the executive, but we know that our governors will start saying, these salaries that you want us to pay, where are we going to get the money from? Open the excess.
How about the legislature?
Everybody's involved. That's what I'm saying. Everyone's involved. So that's where we're at. We do hope that we will be able to do something tangible. And I have to give the administration some kind of credit for at least not allowing or not encouraging theft with impunity. It doesn't feel like it's as terrible as it used to be. People are at least trying to pretend that they're doing the right thing.
In the early days, yes.
It doesn't feel.
Okay, we're talking about we're in the realm of feelings. Okay.
Before it's become.
I mean,
real.
for still linking it with the United States killing of the influential Iranian general, the IMN, the Islamic Movement of Nigeria, they seem to have gone on a protest. Some groups, interestingly, are calling it ill-timed.
Well, they can call it what they want, but it is what it is. Now, the Islamic Movement of Nigeria, or as we tend to call them in Nigeria, the Shiites, I was a bit surprised when I saw that they were reacting to an Iranian general's killing. But something we do have to cast our mind back to remember is that they are a group that are pro-Iranian. They are very much pro-Iranian. That's part of their etymology, part of their origin story. So the killing automatically meant that everyone was going to be on high alert, and that's exactly what happened in Abuja. We know that also the Nigerian Supreme Council of Islamic Affairs also reached out to the Muslim youth to say, listen, please don't react. Don't allow your emotions to becloud you at this point. Security was stepped up overall, but there was still apparently a protest march that did carry on. There were some Shiites that marched through the streets of Abuja that were chanting anti-Israeli, anti-American slogans, burning the flags of both countries, and that in itself is a worrying thing, because the IMN have always claimed and always protested to be innocent. I think general public feeling to an extent has been on their side, especially with the imprisonment of the Zakzaki for well over 2 years at this point. But seeing this sort of thing is concerning. If you're saying that they're fundamentally anti-Islam, then any kind of relationship that people have with Americans or with Israelis, or the country has with America, with Israel, will be looked at negatively by this very large group who have been protesting relatively regularly. So it's something to keep an eye out for. I know the Americans, the American government has warned their citizens everywhere, not just in Nigeria, to be on alert as would be expected.
Thank you very much, Fulu. Let's quickly touch on this next story, Adenike. The Punch reports, the Punch newspaper reports that Operation Amotekun. It's a southwest between OPC, hunters, and others. I mean, we started hearing about things like this since August of 2018. Just last week, some other news, came up similar to this. It seems like there's a gradual introduction of community policing. Your thoughts?
Hey, good. I was about to say something not radio friendly. Okay, so the southwest states in Nigeria will train vigilantes, hunters, and members of the Oduwa People's Congress who will take part in the Western Nigeria Security Outfit, codenamed Operation Amotekun, which is Leopard, as the case may be. Now, speaking about it, what's that man's name? Gani Adams. Gani Adams, who is the Are Ono Kankafo of Yoruba land, says that the involvement of members of the OPC in all of this is not for economic interests whatsoever, and that it was necessary for them to talk about this. Now, when you look at other states, Osun State, Ogun State, Ekiti State, everybody's trying to work with vigilantes and hunters. But what's surprising to me is they should not go and allow them kill these men. They
said they're specifically there to gather intelligence, right?
Yeah, the special advisor from the Ekiti state government mentioned that, technology cannot be acquired in one day. It's a gradual process. Do not allow them kill these people. all in the name of gathering intelligence. That's where I'm going to stop for now.
Emeka from Amuwo agrees with you. He says on the Operation Amotekun, is this what is needed or a technologically based approach that will not involve too many boots on the ground? Small tactical teams that respond fast. All the security votes governors are getting can be invested into this.
I know one of the major reasons why they're doing this is because they are in the communities themselves, so they have more information.
Yes, and the reality is, I know people who live in these areas who are more forest and kind people. I had the privilege of speaking with Professor Wale Shoyinka, and he spoke about the reality of the infringement of these people into the forest where these men are. Now, I do think that they should be equipped. I do think that they should be trained because they have to protect themselves and their property as well as put out information. But it is happening already. There are on the fringes a number of attacks that are going on, and I think it only makes sense to an extent to involve these people who are going to be first in the front line of this sort of quote-unquote invasion.
Yes. Thank you so much for Folu Storms on
Justin
Twitter.
is like burning.
Justin, don't worry, we'll continue the conversation on social media. I use that hashtag freshly pressed 91. Tweet at Justin EJ because it's eager to have this conversation further.
Yes.
And Denike Oyetunde is at Denike Oyetunde. It's I am Day. Stay with us.
Small child.